Hey guys, and welcome to a long overdue update video on the solo self-found Ruthless Crucible League starter that I have been playing for basically the past week. So yeah, the league is basically 1 week old today, and I thought I would need to give you a little update as I have received a few messages and comments both on the Deadeye Ranger League starter build video that I have made in basically before the league started last week, but also a few people wrote me personally in game, which was really cool. So at first I wanted to say thank you for everybody who checked out the build guide and commented and liked it. So I really appreciate the feedback. As I said in the video itself, I'm not really I don't at least consider myself a content creator that much for Path of Exile, so this was just a spontaneous idea to fling out a few videos on the solo self-found Ruthless mode, or Ruthless in general, because there aren't too many videos on YouTube regarding this mode, and I really like it. And yeah, I started as a Deadeye Ranger as planned. And around level 40, on day 2, I think, I realized that Crucible is quite tough. That means the mobs that come out of the Crucible altar, if you charge it over like 80%, are really quite tough. And then I thought, okay, the Ranger is a rather squishy but very fast magic find farmer. At least this is what I planned him or her to be. And I thought, okay, Crucible might be difficult in yellow maps, so I might not be able to do the league mechanic properly. So I kind of re-rolled on day 3 into a champion and played basically the same build but as a champion. And this is the character now. I'm level 82. My map completion is kind of yeah, halfway there, so I did a lot of other stuff, did some lab runs, got some items, did some general magic farming, was able to cap my resistances basically, except for fire, but that's no problem as we use endurance charges. I run about 81% of rarity, got quite some decent movement speed. I got basically permanent adrenaline, which puts up my defenses as well as the movement speed to around 80%, which is really nice. So this is quite a tanky character for what it is. So for a magic find farmer that is really fast, both the evade chance as well as the physical damage reduction is really good, and the damage is really quite good as well. So yeah, quite happy with the build. There will be a build guide on this character following up in basically next few days, I think. Just need to get my head around of how I want to do the video. And I thought for today we just maybe start with a little yellow map that we can run together here. So yeah, this is basically my gear. I will just quickly go over it. So the league start was pretty rough. Even until today, I didn't really find any really great support gems. I mean, I did find some just today that are quite good for lightning arrow and artillery ballista. So I found lesser multiple projectiles basically just today in lab. But I've been running for the past 3 or 4 days just basically on a 2 links. I just had lightning arrow. I had elemental prolif, which doesn't really do anything too much for lightning arrow. I had slower projectiles, which is, yeah, 17% more damage, but it's also less projectile speed, which results in less damage as I take the increases and reductions to projectile speed note here. So that's not really too good. And I found an elemental damage with attacks on day 1 or 2, which is obviously my best gem in this setup at least. So with artillery ballista, I found combustion, which is really nice. Added fire damage is okay. I kept it level 1 because I will need it on some alternative characters or builds as a leveling support gem. And I found point blank, which is okay. So artillery ballista, I usually place it next to the boss anyways, and then it does it's quite nice increased damage. But if you place it too far away, the damage increase is not that good, or it's even less damage. Besides that, yeah, my items are kind of okay. The bow here is it's rather nice, like got some physical bleed chance. The accuracy is okay because I need it. You will see, and the onslaught is really nice. I need accuracy because as you might have noticed, I went for precise technique. I realized crits are nice, but this gives me more consistent damage, and also the more damage basically just does more for me than crit, because I haven't found any crit gems, not even one. Yeah. Besides that, I was trying to stack as much item rarity as I could. So I rolled 2 gold rings. This one turned out to be quite nice. And this one especially has a lot of rarity on it. I just found this amulet yesterday, which is really nice. So I'm trying to get some annoyance for it. So I'm going to run 2 blighted maps that I found. Still trying to 5-link the bow, but I think I will just skip it and wait for another bow. So I have this bow as like a project. It has additional arrow. The cold damage is okay, and the tree is kind of interesting. Got some cold damage. Crits don't do anything for me. We got endurance charge on kill, which makes me even a bit more tankier. And we got chance for double damage if strength is below 100. This is currently what I'm trying to achieve, but it's quite difficult. So yeah, the belt is pretty nice. A lot of life here. The quiver is nice. It gives me a lot of damage because we can stack projectile speed and some resistances as well. The helmet is kind of okay, but I got a nice enchantment for ensnaring arrow. And yeah, I'm talking about the gems. I'm using again the Holy Relic. I really liked it on attack-based builds. It gives me a lot of life regen. Vitality, of course, for just sustaining life regen on like ground effects and stuff. Enduring Cry on bosses to sustain endurance charges. I was really lucky and found Arctic armor on day 2. So this is really nice because when we spam lightning arrow and all the other stuff, we are basically standing still. And this gives us a lot of physical and fire damage mitigation. Besides that, I just found, basically a few minutes ago, found Culling Strike, so I put it on my Stone Golem against some bigger bosses. I used the new Quick Step gem, which is really cool, in my opinion, so many people hate it, but I think it's cool to have it. I still use a Flame Wall to boost the DPS of my arrows a bit, but it doesn't really do too much, so it's just some added fire damage, maybe like 5% more damage. I also use Hydrosphere, so my projectiles can chain or collide off the Hydrosphere, and it gives some exposure. And besides that, yeah, one of the really coolest things I must say is that I found mana forged arrows like 2 days ago, I think. And before that, I was using the new Snipe gem, which is pretty ridiculous. So if you link this up with like ensnaring arrow, a burning arrow, and ice shot, you can do like 600,000 damage just with one charge, which is pretty ridiculous. So I might go back to that in the future, but at the moment I really like mana forged arrows with ensnaring, frenzy, and burning arrow. I might even change this for Culling Strike, but I still have it on my golem, so I'm fine with that. I prefer the damage from burning arrow. And what this basically does is whenever I shoot and I meet a certain mana threshold, so I spend basically 20 mana and I shoot quite quickly if I trigger adrenaline here. So I get adrenaline on spacebar and I can just trigger that whenever I want. I shoot quite fast, and then as you can see, there are little arrows flying basically out of my body here. And those are ensnaring arrow, frenzy, and burning arrow. So what they do, ensnaring arrow just gives a big damage boost because ensnared enemies take 19% increased projectile damage, which is really great. Frenzy is basically just 3 arrows flying out of me that give me frenzy charges when I hit enemies. And burning arrow is just there for basically the DPS and yeah, ignites. But you could change that for something else if you wanted. I used to use Ice Shot as well. That was quite nice as well because it was freezing enemies quite consistently. But I kind of like the 8,000 additional damage on Burning Arrow. It's a bit more, I think, in PoB with all the buffs and stacks, but yeah. And I also use, as you might have seen, Forbidden Rite, because we are a champion class and we do have the first to strike, last to fall node, which gives us adrenaline when we reach low life. And low life means either 50% or 55% if you use one of the new life nodes. So I was really kind of theory crafting and trying this out in standard solo self-found of how or what method is the best to reach low life in order to trigger adrenaline. So I was testing corrupting fever, but I didn't really want to sacrifice 3 or 4 links in my setup just to boost the life cost of this skill in order to reach low life. So I would still have to kind of spam it in order to reach low life, and I didn't want to do that. Also, it kind of diminishes my nice life regeneration a bit, which I didn't like. Then I tested Righteous Fire. Righteous Fire is pretty shitty, to be honest, in my opinion. It just takes a long time until you basically reach low life, because we do have a lot of life leech and life gain on hit. So we got a lot of life gain on hit here. We got this instant leech. We got life leech here, and we even got more life on hit on my bow. And this is also a nice defensive layer, so I'm sustaining quite a lot of life just by attacking and hitting stuff. And I'm also using Poacher's Mark. It gives a bit less damage, but it works with Ensnaring Arrow, because if you use Sniper's Mark, you do get more damage, but Ensnaring Arrow won't work because the projectiles will be chaining off the target, and then Ensnare doesn't work, which is a bummer. But then I decided to run Poacher's Mark because it also gives a lot of mana sustain and life on hit, which is great against single target enemies. So my rotation is basically, if I see a rare or like a boss, I do Poacher's Mark, then I place down my Hydrosphere, I place 4 artillery ballistas and my flame wall, and then I just basically stand there and target down the boss or the rare. And single target damage is really nice with the Mana Forged Arrow support, and the artillery ballista are really strong this league, so you can just do a build with them even without lightning arrow. It's really strong in my opinion. But yeah, I decided against Corrupting Fever, and the gem that I went with to trigger my adrenaline is just a level 1 Forbidden Rite. It just takes 1 gem slot, and it puts me to half life. Then adrenaline is triggered, and adrenaline gives you back, as you can see here, it recovers you instantly 25% of life. So you basically only take 25% of your life as damage, and then you will have adrenaline for 20 seconds. And you can see it up here. Now it's gone again, and I will just run, and I will just press spacebar, and I will be back on adrenaline, and just losing that much life. You will see in the map, it's just nothing. It's instantly recovered by all the life leech and life gain on hit that we have here. It can be a bit tricky in instances like where there's a lot of damage over time, or like the labyrinth. So I just don't use it there. I mean, another trick that you could do, but I know GGG is does not like that, is use a macro to trigger it. But yeah, I just prefer to trigger it like manually, just by pressing spacebar, so I have control over when I have to adrenaline and when not. And yeah, this is basically the build so far. My flask, I just got a bleeding flask. I was pretty lucky on this roll on the granite flask. I got a jade flask, which does just not want to roll something good for me, but it's okay. So I'm just keep on rolling that. I use a consecrated ground flask, which gives a lot of damage and also life regen. So if I pop the flasks, or like this flask in particular, I got like 46% physical mitigation, 62% evade chance. I am basically spell suppression capped. It doesn't look like that here, but if you check out the POB, so this is the current POB here. We are sitting at, where is it? 96% spell suppression. It's not capped, but it's nearly capped. So I think for softcore this is enough, at least until you enter like red maps. After that you maybe want 100%, but it is fine. My chaos resistance obviously is horrible, so minus 60%, but that's also a good thing, because I can just trigger adrenaline by attacking with Forbidden Rite just once, and it does chaos damage to yourself, and it does even more chaos damage with 60%. So if I would have, let's say, 20 chaos resistance, this might even be close. It might not put me to low life, but yeah, at the moment it's fine like that. And I still need to cap my fire resistance, but that's also okay, as we use Enduring Cry anyways, and we are at 74% fire resist, which is okay. Yeah, I will put the link to this POB in the comment section or in the description of the video, so you can copy that if you're interested in the build. It just uses the current setup that I've just shown you with all the items in here. You can ignore this part. This was just some things for testing, so you can also delete that. I do have it set up for level 80 standard boss because I think I won't do any like Guardians or Pinnacle bosses in the near future, or even like level 83 mobs in the near future, because my Atlas progression has been quite a bit slower because I've been doing other stuff, running labs and getting some nice enchantments for like my items here, except the gloves, which are nice gloves though, so never mind. So yeah, that's the POB. You can just check it out. I will put it in the video description. Alright, so that was a lot of talking. Sorry for that. Let's just go and run a map. Oh, and by the way, yeah, before we run the map, maybe just 2 more words. I have been farming, so this is the whole reason I made this character, to farm items for alternative builds, and I have been really lucky. I have found a lot of nice stuff, for example for a Bone Shatter Juggernaut, which will then be my bossing character, because as you might know, Bone Shatter is quite meta this league. It's really good for bossing on a Juggernaut. I found this really nice hammer here. I found a bunch of quite nice physical damage weapons. Also found a shield and a one-hander and this funny unique here, so you might even be able to play a one-handed shield Juggernaut which uses Bone Shatter. I found Blasphemy, which can be used with punishment. I found Fist of War and Pulverize, so yeah. I also started this character already. It's like level 20, so just a few hours in, 1 hour in basically. But yeah, found some interesting gear here, so I might use that. I also found really nice stuff for a minion build, and I, like every league I play a minion build, that's basically just given. So I found this wand, which is really ridiculous. A lot of increased damage for minions and a nice tree, so I might use that in the future. I found a lot of nice minion weapons here. Also this one is really ridiculous, has a really interesting tree. But yeah, more on that in another video. I found Unleash, Minion Speed, I found Flash Offering, I leveled Raging Spirit and Zombies just in a second weapon setup, and found Convocation. I found a bunch of nice minion helmets, so this one is really the best I think, but it's on a weird base, so it might be difficult to color. I found this one as well, which has 1 level minion skill gems. Found 2 minion shields and decent armor, so yeah, we will see. So that might be a future build, and if I find some nice stuff, I might even start a Frost Hierophant, which is also quite meta this league, but I only found like Arcane Surge and Salatry, so I haven't really found any good auras. And to be honest, with my support gems, it was really scarce, so I only found these. As I said, the first few days I was just on a 2-link or 1-link with Elemental Proliv, so it was quite hard to level up. So that's why I'm only level 82. So support gems have been really difficult. I haven't found any really good support gems. And yeah, I haven't found any damage auras, except for Salatry, which I can't use, doesn't help me. I mean, Arctic Armor is probably the best aura that I found so far, but it's been going okay, to be honest. So this build, I consider it to be quite a strong map farmer, at least for Magic Find. And yeah, finally, enough of the talking. Let's just do a Coral Ruins. What do we get here? Hopefully no Ally Reflect. I mean, you can do Ally Reflect. You can just place your artillery ballistas, and they have such a high regen. They can even handle Ally Reflect, even on this damage setup. And I was clearing Elemental Reflect maps with that easily. That was really a big surprise for me. So let's see. Okay, we got a difficult map, because we have vulnerability on me that is bad. We have a lot of increased life on the boss and area of effect, and the boss is possessed, which is super bad. We have monsters from beyond. Oh yeah, and monsters gain endurance charges on hit, so that is a difficult map. So let's see how we do. We just gotten level 82, so if I die, I do not care too much. And I didn't really die too many times with this build. 9 times, and 3 out of those was just with 1 Crucible mob. That was just insane. So the first Crucible, or one of the first Crucibles I met, I charged up completely on like day 3, and it was just a mad soul eater monster that killed me 3 times. But I managed to kill him. he went down. So I'm in the map. I will just proc my adrenaline here by pressing spacebar, and then let's just cruise through the map here. So that's the nice thing about this build. It is quite a fast map farmer, and it is also quite tanky. I think even with this map I might die once in this map because it's a really, like, the vulnerability curse is really bad for me. But that's usually how I just place down my stuff and then just target down any kind of tanky rares and bosses. So I'm not sure if I want to do the breach here because they have been super rippy. They increased the monster spawn rate and also I think the monster level or something. So the difficulty of those breaches can be really enormous, in my opinion. So let's trigger adrenaline. Well, that's pretty crazy. Oh, Val Orb, nice. That is really nice indeed. Trigger the Flasks. And I also do have phasing, which is basically mandatory for these crazy content here. It's absolutely mad what they did to breaches. So yeah, phasing I think is really recommended on any bow build or basically any build that can get it, because with the current situation of mobs, they just block you, they put you into these ice prisons as you have seen there, and that can be really nasty in my opinion. So you basically want phasing, you do not really have a good travel skill too, because this quick step thing, it can't travel over obstacles really at all, which is bad. But yeah. As you have seen, my stone golem died there, so that's a normal thing, I think, until I find, what's it called, elemental army. So I will put both the holy relic and the stone golem, maybe together with culling strike, on a elemental army once I find it. I had that last leak and that made the golems and the holy relic way more tanky. So I usually charge up until like the early 80s or mid 80s in this map, because it's quite rippy, and then I just run away a bit and focus down whatever comes out of this crazy crucible stuff. Place down my flame wall here. So, and you can do that really easily with the ballista totems. You can just place them and just backtrack, and the mobs will focus them down instead of you, and you can just stand there in the back and just focus down whatever comes out of like a nasty crucible, because those mobs can be really bad. This might just one-shot me if it crits, because I'm still one node away from marked monsters can't crit, which will be really good against single targets like this one. So this one is a really tanky one. It's a soul eater. Whoa, and it has some nasty mods. But I think, yeah, my golem just killed it. Right before my stone golem died, it made a culling strike and killed the mob. So you could see even with pretty bad map mods, even on a 80% charged up crucible, it is really, I wouldn't say easy, but it's very doable. So this build is, I think, quite strong for what it is after like 3 or 4 days of playing. Alright, and I even forgot to trigger my adrenaline. Oops. Wrong button there. So yeah. So if this was a Deadeye, I would have even more projectiles. I wouldn't need to use lesser multiple here. But I think it would be quite a lot more squishy. And in the recent content, I still prefer, even though they kind of made Crucible a bit easier, I still prefer to have a more tanky version of this Magic Find Farmer, because I can easily do yellow maps, as you can see, even with some bad mods on it. I can do bossing to some extent. I mean, I won't be able to like take down Guardians anywhere near in the next few days or weeks, I guess even. But that's not a problem, as I will re-roll into a boss killing character anyway. So I might even just start with the summoner or use the Juggernaut to do Bone Shatter with. So that will be the plan for the next few days. And I will just keep this character to do like quick maps and get items, do lab runs, which is also really nice. I didn't even start to do Delve on this character, which was also one of the main plans, and I will do it like once I farmed up enough sulfite, but I haven't found too many Nico missions yet, or not even one, I think, so I'm still kind of just starting out with Delve. But Delve will be, I think, even though they buffed it, nerfed it, it will still be really good for finding support gems and like maybe a 5-link, maybe a 6-socket item to get some jewelers, because as you know, crafting is really bad. So as you have seen there was a drop. This is a thing I have put up in my item filter. I modified it so I will see all the branded kite shields, because I'm trying, maybe if I find a Cephal's Flame on like a crucible tree, so you will put those you will put that weapon into the crucible, and if you are lucky you will get the cells for a unique node on the tree, so you can just vendor it for a unique version of this shield. And I think the only unique version of a branded kite shield is Cephal's Flame, which is a really nice item for Righteous Fire Juggernaut. So I might, if I find it, I might even roll a Righteous Fire character, but yeah, I don't plan that. So it's really rare, actually. I've been trying to farm Voltaxic Rift for basically for Lightning Arrow. I was trying to farm Bitter Dream for a Cold Hierophant, but no luck on that end. So I think the mod cells for unique is really, really rare. Alright, so we are near the boss, and he's doing a lot of damage with some bleed explosions or whatever that was. So let's see. Oh yeah, this is the possessed boss. It's like a dual boss with increased life, and it's possessed, so it's pretty nasty. So I can just recommend to stay on range, place down the target, the ballistas, stay as far as away from these things, because that's really a nasty boss. He might just one-shot me if he hits me. I do have a lot of evade chance, but yeah, it's like a super nasty boss. I just stay at range, place the ballistas, and he's also super tanky. It's probably the most tankiest boss I've done with this character in this league so far. But yeah, so far so good. I mean, he's nasty, but we can do him. He goes down pretty well. Just always remember, place those ballistas. And as you can see, he's ensnared, like he has these little things on his back, which are from ensnaring arrows. So that is just an amazing feature of Mana-Forged Arrow. Whenever I shoot, you see all these arrows popping out every few seconds. Whenever I shoot, I'll ensnare the boss. He takes increased damage. He basically has 0 movement speed. He can't really run after me, except with some like leap slam skills and stuff like that. I do get automatic frenzy charges, and I ignite him and do quite a lot of burning damage. So that is really nice. So even with that crazy boss, with 30% increased life, with endurance charges, being possessed, it's just really bad mods on this map. I was doing quite fine. I think there's a little boss left here. Oh, that was a nasty ignite, I think. So yeah, curse him. And once I got the note that marked enemies cannot crit, that will be really great for bossing. I'm just 1 point away. As you can see, the marked enemies cannot deal critical strikes in this mark cluster here. It's just an insane defensive boost against single targets, especially bosses. Alright. So yeah, that was I think, tier 7 yellow map. Not too impressive probably, but for day 3, I think that worked pretty well. Also, the map sustain is way better than last league. As you can see, my Atlas looks like this at the moment, so I went straight up to grab Alva and Nico. Also just grabbed this Nico node here. I immediately blocked Legion because it's just bullshit. I grabbed Alva missions on completion. I grabbed a lot of these map nodes. I grabbed a commissioned officer to get Kirek missions. And I also would really recommend to get Shaping the Valleys because it's just basically free, especially with Arctic armor. take less fire damage anyway, so I can risk taking Shaping the Valleys. And yeah, I've been sustaining maps quite well, so I'm 32 completion, do have some yellows, and I basically just started mapping like 2 days ago. It's going pretty well, to be honest. So yeah, I will make in the next few days a build guide video on this champion. I will make a video regarding stash management tips in Ruthless, because it can be really beneficial if you have like me a lot of stash tabs, because I've been playing this game for like 10 years, so I have a lot of them. You want to really keep all the nice items that you find in Ruthless. So all the nice helmets with life and resistances and rarity, you want to keep them. You want to keep all the boots with movement speed and resistances and life. Basically, I'm keeping all items that are kind of interesting, even for builds that I'm not even considering playing, like one-handed shield sword builds. I don't know. I'm just keeping good items in order to maybe one day use them on one of these builds here, or maybe on some other builds. So I got all these stash tabs in like a folder for stuff that I want to maybe use in the future. Also like chests over here, and like rollable bases with links, stuff like that. I got leveling items. So this is all like early free links. This is like a 4 link that you can use it at level 5, which would speed up leveling a second character, or like a mule tremendously. Like early 4 links, level 22 5 socket 4 link, level 0 4 link over here, which is a really nice chest actually. Some early leveling bows, leveling melee weapons, leveling spellcaster weapons. These are all the Crucible weapons that I want to put into the Crucible altar for the chance for the convert to unique or self for unique version. What else do I have here? Yeah, that's basically the tab for my character, where I just collect some interesting active and passive, like support gems that I might use in the future, interesting items that I might use in the future. Yeah. And these are like the mechanic tabs over here in this folder, where I'm just collecting basically nothing yet in there. I didn't do any, did some metamorph, but didn't do any delve. Only did 1 blight, I think. Not even 1 delirium, maybe 1. I found some jewels over here, but nothing crazy. So yeah, okay, I think this video is long enough as it is. By the way, do keep all the hammers. You need to do the chisel recipe, because they reduced the drop rate of white items, and you do not find any of them. So I started on day 1 of the league, and this is all of the hammers I have for the chisel recipe, and I have only 2 chisels. I only used like 3 on a yellow map, on my first yellow map, I think. So that's a really important thing to do. Also keep all the flasks for leveling, and also some bases if you need any for like future characters and so on. So yeah, it can be really beneficial to keep items, also crafting items that I might need in the future. I'm just keeping all of that stuff. Alrighty, then see you maybe in one of the next videos. One will be the stash video, how to set up your stash for you, Ruthless. One video obviously on the build itself and the POB, which will also be in the description, as I said. And then maybe some more general tips on Ruthless that just come to my mind over the next few days. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you made it until this far in the video, you're really a champ. I think that might have been like 30-minute video or 40 minutes even. So sorry for rambling so much. I hope you had a good start into Ruthless. Just let me know in the comments how it went for you, what build you are playing, what is your most notable item drops that you've gotten. So I'm really interested in that. I might even do some live streaming in the future, so I need to set up my laptop in order to do that, because yeah, I'm on a laptop here, so it might be a performance thing, but I would really like to do some live streaming one day. And yeah, really curious what you're playing, how the league is going, how you like the Crucible mechanic, and really interested to hear what you have been able to do. All right, then take care and see you in the next video.